I mean, it was quite a brief conversation about feminism.
Yeah. Okay.
So the other day I had a debate about feminism.
Mm-hmm.
And I said the way to approach feminism is the radical Marxist approach. Essentially, recognizing the problem as systematic rather than individualistic. That's the problem that I have with liberal feminism.
Yeah.
So, when I talk about this, I typically use the examples of, for radical feminism, Angela Davis, member of the Black Panther Party, and the suffragettes, members of liberal feminism, and the cause of that. Now, liberal feminists typically tend to focus on feminism, furthering the cause of feminism by tackling it individualistically. So they point out, all right, this person's misogynistic, this person's misogynistic, now how do we change their minds?
Yeah.
I don't think that's how you further the cause of feminism. I think the way of furthering the cause of actual feminism is to actually tackle the systematic issue through changing the mode of production to communism.
And I think that's what the Black Panthers tried. I mean, the Black Panthers were a Marxist group of individuals, weren't they?
Very much so.
What did they try to do? Because I know that, obviously, Malcolm X, he differed with Martin Luther King because his approach is much different. It was
much more militant.
It was a militant view. So, and I think that idea of having that, it's kind of like this teleological sort of outset. It's like, it doesn't matter what the means, like...
By any means necessary.
Yeah, any means necessary. Do you think that's like the best form of trying to get a point through, especially with like feminism or Marxism? You need to have that militant aspect to it. Or do you think what Gandhi did, what Martin Luther King did, do you think that's a much more viable option?
I think first we need to discern the two terms best and most effective. I'd say the most effective method is to do anything, is to reach the ends by any means necessary. I mean, if I want to make a point of suicide and how it's a problem in today's society, the most effective way would be to kill myself in the middle of the classroom.
Yeah, that's the point.
But the best way of doing it isn't to go and do that and scar people for life. The best way about going about that is to educate people, research it, look into statistics, to really, I mean, there's a famous quote by Marx saying, they call you radical when you grab the problem by its roots. Adding to the problem of suicide by killing yourself isn't going to do anything really well. Grabbing the roots, being radical and grabbing the roots of it and saying, all right, what is causing? I mean, as a communist myself, obviously, I believe that the roots are, it is capitalism.
It's a mode of production.
Exactly. That's my steadfast belief. And yeah.
Damn. So it's kind of like you've got this idea of communism being like sort of the necessary means which society would need to require for there to be sort of like a flourishment.
Definitely. I mean,
and I think that's kind of like what I love about the communist idea is that this is like the end goal of humanity. There's this one state.
Yeah.
And I've never actually looked into that. So for me personally, I think the idea of communism was tarnished by the Soviet Union, what we learned at school. And that's an issue because we're not actually learning what true communism is.
Yeah.
How do you like define true communism then? So obviously you'd say that it's what people, what humanity should strive for.
Yeah.
What is that definition then?
Of communism. I mean, to put it in a sentence, the public ownership of the means of production. It is when the proletariat, the working class, break their chains, their binds, and essentially attain freedom and peace. That is my definition of communism.
And there's obviously going to be a lot of critics about that.
Oh, definitely.
And I think one of the main criticisms that I would have thought, and what a lot of people thought, especially within the realm of psychology, the domain of human nature, is that humans are inherently species of politics. We don't really care about what, our neighbour is doing. We just want to maximise ourselves. So a lot of critics have used that as an explanation as to why Marxism is statistically impossible. I mean, maybe idealistically it can work, but they've said that realistically it's an impossibility.
Yeah.
And I think, how would you look at it? Because in a communist state, in a capitalist state right now, it's almost, I mean, I'm not too sure on the political, jargon that we use, but it's almost as if you work to death.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And so, and thank you for bringing this up. Actually, in fact, so you said that Western media, Western institutions, that essentially, I would characterize it most accurately by saying that they're lying to the people about communism. I think that's true, and also the idea that humans are intrinsically greedy and they don't care about anyone. I would really disagree. The greed and the selfishness that we see today is actually a product of capitalism rather than inherent to the human behavior. Because capitalism, kind of by definitionally fosters an environment for greed. You're trying to attain the most product. Trying to work your way up. You don't work your way up. Typically, you exploit people.
Yeah.
I guess you could say that is a way of getting yourself up there.
And we see a lot of that exploitation nowadays within the elites of society.
Oh, definitely.
And we see what the elites can do. Recently, the Epstein files.
The Epstein,
that's a...
I was thinking about this yesterday. You didn't see a 9-to-5 worker in the Epstein files.
Oh, no.
You saw the bourgeoisie, the ruling class, alongside millionaires, billionaires even.
Oh, yeah.
Exploiting children for sex. It's a very crude thing. It's a very brutal thing, to bring up.
Yeah.
But we have to face these facts in order to change them. You have to bring these to light.
And I think it's very important to, even talk about the victims as well, because I think people have been looking at the elites who've been doing it. I think the victims are those are the people we should be focusing on.
Definitely.
They're the victims of not just going to an island being sex trafficked. They're the victims of people who have, they're the victims of this capitalist utopia that people have stated works in so many times. Nowadays, I'm pretty sure I was researching one of the victims. I think she was an Australian woman, and she decided to call out Prince Andrew, I believe it was. I think she died. I think
really?
It was, yeah. I don't know if I don't want to spew misinformation. I don't want to get called out by the BBC. Too things about should spread lies.
But yeah.
It's almost as if it's a Shark Tank nowadays.
Oh no, and definitely is. And this is the thing. So people usually say that, a well-known phrase is capitalism is fascism in decay. I completely disagree. I think fascism is capitalism in decay.
Oh, okay.
I would define fascism with 3 words: populist ultranationalism. Now, we can see today, we have parties like Reform UK in England, and we have the MAGA movement in America. And MAGA especially, I think, is really interesting because they've even deployed their own version of the Gestapo, to take people away. And if you look at cases like Alligator Alcatraz. But that we classify those and people in the Epstein files as the victims. I would definitely agree with that. I'm not negating that in any way.
Yeah.
But I'm saying a victim of capitalism can be someone working 9 to 5 every day for the rest of his life. The thing is, with these kind of modes of production, with these kind of political ideologies, they become the religion almost. I was talking to someone who claimed to be religious, but also a fascist, and they were in support of Mussolini, which I was baffled by.
Yeah, no, that's...
Because, fascism and religion can't coexist. They can't.
Yeah.
It doesn't work, because fascism aims to create a new secular religion, wherein the leader or the state is the god. This is why they emphasize the use of symbols. Don't get me wrong, other ideologies have symbols, but no ideology emphasizes them to such a degree as fascism. And you look at, Nazi Germany, you had the swastika, and then also not only that, systematically and over time, they will, employ certain legalistic measures to actually ban these religions, unless they sort of adhere to their own principles. Yeah. I was doing some research into Germany pre-war, and obviously Bonhoeffer was killed. He tried to execute Hitler. Yeah. But other churches around there that didn't adhere to the word of Hitler were then killed, and they were banned. And then the only last church remaining, which I wouldn't even argue is a church, I would say is the Den of Liars, because you can't.
Yeah,
But anyway,
it's also what Christ
yeah,
pushes
exactly,
away. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, the Reich Church essentially liked what Hitler was saying, and then just or either they liked it or they were too scared. But I mean, it goes back to that phrase and that statement by Jim Elliot. You know, Jim Elliot, the missionary who was killed.
No, I'm not familiar with Jim Elliot. No.
So he was essentially a missionary who was killed, and he said, "He is no fool who gives up what he cannot keep to gain what he cannot lose."
That's powerful.
That's very powerful.
How would
So
you
it goes back to that.
How do you link that then? So
To people not being Christians who claim to be Christians,
yeah, like
as in terms of the Reich Church.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the fruits, in fact, all the fruits come together under sort of a common characteristic that can be exercised in all of the fruits, essentially, which is courage. And it's courage not in yourself, but in God.
Oh yeah.
If you are afraid to give up your life in service of the truth and in service of God, then I wouldn't classify you as Christian. You know, that's my personal view.
So someone who is like a martyr, for example.
Yeah, you have to be willing to be a martyr. That not necessarily physically. So, like, if let's say England was a country full of secular terrorists, you know, who hated Christians, who hated Muslims, unless you're willing to die for it, physically as well, then I wouldn't classify as Christian. But also socially. So we live in a society now. I mean, I'm not Christian, but we live in a society now where Christians can't exactly say what they think because they live in fear of being cancelled. And then you know, I'm not saying that's a valid. I'm not saying that's not a valid thing. But if you're not willing to die socially, emotionally, in pursuit of exercising and promoting the truth, then you're not a Christian, because you're not willing to die as Jesus did, almost for Jesus.
I think that's interesting, because you've got a group of Christians who are afraid to say what they actually want to say, and then on the other hand, Nick Fuentes. We've got that guy.
I have a huge problem with Nick Fuentes. Huge problem with Nick Fuentes.
I think if you're sane, you must have some sort of problem.
Definitely, but I have a huge problem. Oh, sorry, go.
No. Carry on. I was just going to say how it must be insane for someone to actually support that guy, even put that guy on a pedestal. I mean, this guy's compared to the second coming of Christ. You see people, you see people sort of delegitimize the Holocaust.
Yeah.
That's
awful.
It's atrocious. Their source, Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes said this, Nick Fuentes said that. There wasn't enough people, blah, 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 blah. He says all this misinformation, and people are swindled by it.
Definitely.
What do you think of that?
So, I have a very big problem with Nick Fuentes as a communist, obviously. But I also have a problem because I feel like he is steeped in hypocrisy. Yeah. I respect a fascist who adheres to his own principles. I don't respect a fascist who doesn't adhere to his own principles. Nick Fuentes, I was watching a documentary on him a while ago, a long time ago, by Louis Theroux, and he, obviously founded the organization of America First. Yeah. With his main principle being that it's Christian. This completely contradicts the entire, if you understand the Bible, it completely contradicts the entire Bible. Look at the parable of the sheep and the goats. Yes, absolutely. When you do this for the least of my brothers, you do this for me. Yeah. Completely good. The last will be first. It completely contradicts the Bible. And then, the audacity to then claim to be Christian, when you're saying, America first, everything that I deserve, everything else should be shunted or should be secondary to what I want, my desires, whilst spewing poison to people.
To huge problem. Young, impressionable people as well. Fascism is rising as well.
Fascism
it's rising. We see it within the far right in the UK. We see it within the far right everywhere. I think the number one opposite, like the number one. So they will say, they will argue that they ain't fascist. They'll argue the left is fascist, and that's a problem. Obviously, that's going to be a problem for you.
Right.
They use people like Stalin, a fascist. They say
people I really dislike people that say Stalin's a communist.
I mean, there's a lot of, not necessarily allegations, because obviously you would say that those aren't true, but there's a lot of, it's almost as if they're just throwing it back at you. Like, you throw the fascist ball at them, they throw it back at you. So
Definitely.
Tu quo quo.
Yeah, exactly.
What would you respond? Because I think that's something that I think communists need to address.
I mean, definitely. And
the claims of fascism,
100%. When people say it's a bell curve that you can be too communist that you're almost fascist, or that you can be too fascist that you're almost communist, it's stupidity. It is stupidity. It's ignorance at its peak. They are so intrinsically different. But it is easy to cloak communism with fascism.
Okay.
When people are ignorant.
What are the main differences then, would you say? Because
prosperity and degradation. Prosperity is what happens when you implement communism.
Yeah.
Degradation is when you implement fascism into society. A prime example of this is Kerala, where we're from.
Kerala.
Homeland, the best place ever.
God's own country.
God's own country. Kerala has a higher literacy rate than any other place in India, as well as America.
Yeah.
Kerala, people in Kerala, Indians in Kerala, live 7 years longer than in any other state in India. The healthcare is far better.
Oh yeah.
They've eradicated it recently. Well, I say recently, relatively recently, they've eradicated extreme poverty. This is something really. All of these, achievements is something that no country has collectively done, really. Apart from, the state of Kerala. Whereas, let's take, for example, somewhere that was fascist, Nazi Germany. I mean, obviously, it was one of the main ones.
And that was a socialist worker party, wasn't it? But it wasn't.
No, it began as a socialist worker party,
and then it became fascist over time.
Yeah, when Hitler kind of joined it. It was also, as I said before, it's nationalist, and it was also very racist, which are characteristics of the right. But it's always been like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after 1940, it obviously became a war economy. I believe it wasn't actually after, just after 1940, it was sometime during the war. But if you look at the extreme deficits in the economy after that, it was awful. And, I feel like capitalism sort of has this fascism has this Dostoevskian ethic and ideology that humans are all inherently monsters. Communism disagrees. I would say that's also where it differs. And because of this ideology, you get different outcomes.
Where do you find that monster sort of perspective from capitalism? Where do you think they implement that? Where do you think they see it within?
In fascism, or in capitalism.
Where do you think? So, if I'm a capitalist, why do you think I would look at people as a monster? Do you reckon? Because
you can see the greed and the selfishness of people, and you can almost see a reflection of that in yourself. However, what people do is mistakenly then associate that with just your natural human behaviour, rather than seeing that it's actually just a systematic issue. Rather than being a systematic issue, they see it as just everyone inherently, which is also one of the reasons why I disagree with religion. All religions which believe in original sin, at least, or an inherent evil nature.
You reckon that extends out to an inherent irrational nature as well?
That's a bit more difficult, I would say. I mean, when you cloak everyone under this blanket of collective evil, it's much easier to dismiss, to be honest. With irrationality, are you talking about what are you relating to?
So when I talk about rationality, I'm looking at it in the sense of being dictated by your emotions and
kind of like an erratic.
erratic, yeah,
irrational.
impulsive,
Yeah.
not necessarily thought out.
I think that has a lot of, I don't want to speak speculatively here, but I believe that also has a lot of brain, psychological aspects to it. I wouldn't be able to give really an answer for that, but I'd be leaning and I'd be more inclined to say no, that is probably intrinsic to a lot of people. I mean, ADHD, a common trait of ADHD is the fact that they're impulsive.
Yeah. They don't really think things through, they're hyper-focus on areas.
I think how that is actually combated, though, and how you help people to overcome that is an intrinsic, obviously. I feel like that is definitely to do with the system they're in.
Do you think that's why mental illness is like sort of winning the battle against humanity right now? Do you reckon that's a problem that we see in capitalist society as well?
I think you would only see that in a capitalist and fascist society. I don't think you would see. I think there's certain mental health problems that would definitely stick around in a communist society because a lot of them are biological, a lot of them are solely psychological, not impacted by external things, but like things like depression. I mean, as a diagnosed depressed myself, there is different depressions, different kinds, loads of different kinds. Bipolar depression isn't necessarily brought on by external factors. Neither is chronic depression, but I don't believe anyway. Things like anxiety.
Yes.
These are all external factors. And also, when you have those, if you're able to receive the proper care that you need, these can be greatly lessened. And these can be greatly lessened. And so I think that there would be a decrease in mental health problems. There'd be a decrease in suicide. There'd be a decrease in anxiety. However, probably, inherent biological, genetic ills of people will probably stay. Or stabilise anyway.
I've heard, so I was watching a Jubilee video.
Jubilee, I love Jubilee.
Jubilee, fantastic. So this was Patrick Bet-David. I'm sure you're familiar with Patrick Bet-David. If the viewer's not familiar with Patrick Bet-David, he runs Valuetainment. He is he's a multi-millionaire. He is inherently a capitalist. So on the Jubilee episode, he was debating capitalism with 20, I don't think they were just communist. I think they were grouped as anti-capitalists.
Oh, like post-capitalist.
Post-capitalist, anti-capitalist.
Just leftists in general.
Just leftists in general. And one of the overarching themes from the capitalist sort of perspective was how the left portray themselves as victims. What's your opinions on that? Because it's almost as if the capitalist right, they have this problem of victim mindset, you work hard, you live in a capitalist society, you don't complain, you move on and on and on. Do you agree with that? Or do you think you're actually trying to fight the system? You're not actually victims, you're trying to fight.
So what I think best to illustrate this visually. So being a victim... Very dyslexic.
Don't even worry about that.
That's not spell victim, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Is it? Oh.
Yeah.
So for there to be a victim, you have to be a perpetrator. It doesn't necessarily need to be a person. That's not spell perpetrator. But, to an extent... No, so I definitely agree that people are victims. I don't think it's, people saying under a false pretense that I'm a victim. I think people are genuinely victims.
Yeah.
Because we live in a society that needs victims. Essentially, capitalism thrives on poverty. I mean, not even thrives, it's a necessity for capitalism to actually function. You need poverty because you need an unemployment pool so that people can take the jobs that no one else really wants to take, the rich don't want to take. So we are victims. The left can be, for me personally, radical or liberal. So for me personally, I'm anti-liberal. I believe that liberals, typically, and I hold no animosity really towards them. But what I think they have a problem with is their, docile nature. They don't really want to stir up any problems. They will just say I'm the victim. That essentially then makes the right really. Oh no, so they typically kind of just wallow, not in like a necessarily because they don't know really what to do. I'm not in a condescending way am I saying this, but typically, if you look at the general trend, this then causes the right wing to say, oh, they're just playing the victim.
What would you define liberal?
Liberal, I would say, as middle left.
So
middle left, and those, those who are kind of unwilling, which is kind of what I got onto in this. Those who support a left ideology is liberal, but who aren't willing to physically, violently make it, and who are kind of not extreme on their views, and they see nuance in everything.
Is this sort of like a socialist?
Not as socialist. Socialist you would almost class as radical, because you
Okay.
can have socialist uprisings, like USSR. Like Labour is right now, I would say. I would classify as liberal. Liberal in the sense that they're also for like democracy, which is quite a hot take. I'm not really for, as we see it today, democracy. However, so moving on to my next thing. So with victims, this is where we're at now, right? We've been accused by the right of being victims, right? Now the other branch is radical. I'm going to put here / Marxist. Or any form of communism, really. Or socialism, whatever. Now they agree that they are victims, definitely. However, they advocate using effective means for the end that is change. The right will typically say that, you're not victims, you kind of just putting this on and all that. However, there is real victims. Let's look at everything that happened with Epstein. And he was able to do that. Why? Because he had economic power to own Ireland. He could do all this. He had the space to do all this, and he had definitely the social and actually a lot of political pull. He was on Wall Street.
It's crazy because people don't actually know how he got rich.
Yeah, Wall Street.
Was it Wall Street? I think there's not allegations necessarily, but there's articles that I read that we actually don't know how he got rich. We don't know if the amount of money he made at Wall Street could have actually.
Well, he probably was very, very, good friends with a lot of powerful people.
Yeah, he started off as a teacher.
And he was with he did, didn't he?
Yeah.
Economics, wasn't it?
I think he was an economics teacher. Yeah, at high school. But he's an example of someone who dropped the ranks and started exploiting. And it's almost as if people pay attention to him rather than the victims. And I think that's a very good example. Like, they are victims. But the idea, I think there's a difference between the victim and the victim mindset.
Yeah.
A victim mindset is someone who's just docile, wallow, the liberals. Someone who fights, that's not a victim.
Exactly, which is where you get people like Che Guevara. You get people like the Black Panther Party.
Absolutely.
Advocating for a revolution of sorts.
And you're a massive Che Guevara fan.
Oh, I'm a huge Che Guevara fan. Me and Che Guevara would get along very well.
I mean, I think he might just be your spirit animal.
I think he may just be, to be honest.
You might be the reincarnation. I mean, look at him. I think Che Guevara in the flesh right now. I mean,
in the flesh, as we speak.
For the audience who are watching, I mean, Reuben has maybe 3 or 4 shirts of Che Guevara. He has a communist. What's it called? What's the hat called? Is it a beret?
I'd say beret. Yeah. I think
beret. Yeah.
Beret. Yeah, I think so.
I think it's that. Yeah, he's a communist beret.
Yeah. That's the one.
He's got those Soviet winter hats as well.
I am very much communist. That is very much my position.
Where did you sort of get that intrinsic sort of, not intrinsic necessarily, but where did you sort of get that
spark for communism? Yeah.
So to become a communist, yes.
My brother is a very great academic, very intellectual.
Yeah.
Definitely more so than I. Definitely. And he was first a communist.
Okay.
So I started doing research on it. But not only that, people become communists when you see the, degradation, the poverty, the homelessness, the, patriarchal society, the racist society, all these kind of things.
Yeah.
And these are all characteristics of a capitalist society. That's when people become communists. Because there's something inside of us that is angry at that.
Yeah.
It's a righteous anger. There is a quote by Che Guevara who says, if you tremble with indignation at every injustice, truly you are a communist. You're a comrade of mine. You know, and that kind of flipped the switch in me. You know?
And I think there was a quote that he told me that from Che Guevara, which is, you're a communist if you have a heart.
Definitely.
How does that sort of resonate with you then?
Oh, completely. I think to be a communist, you must feel, because it's not necessarily, I mean, it benefits you, you know, over a long run. But, you know, at its core, it's an altruistic ideology. You know, you must have a heart for those you don't know. You must have a heart for those on the streets. You must have a heart for, you know, those dying. You know, those who are being exploited. And that heart, I mean, to have a revolution, you must have a revolution of the heart. To have an external revolution, you must have an internal revolution. In other words, we are trapped in this society where we are discouraged to have any kind of heart for anyone. You know, it's very much me, and this is what I'm saying. This is why it fosters a greedy, selfish society. It's very much me. However, we cannot, and I don't think people, and I don't think anyone can truly hide or try to really cease to have a heart for it. I mean, if you look at even people who are, you know, indoctrinated by the far right, people who are voting Reform UK, to be honest. Not to offend any of my Reform UK, well, fight actually to what's it called? Offend my Reform UK ignorance. They're angry at the same thing at the core. At the core, they're angry that their neighbour, their brother, is suffering, and they're angry that they are suffering. It's egotistical, but it's also altruistic. But because the elite has kind of said, I mean, not to sound too populist, but because the elite has said, you know, I can fix your problems. I mean, look at Nazi Germany. What did Hitler say? Essentially, he said, the Jews have been conspiring against you. I can get you and our people out of this struggle. And so there is at the core a, you know, heart. I don't think anyone can ever shy away from that. I don't think anyone can ever sort of entirely destroy that, no matter how much indoctrination they have. Only when you receive education can you actually differentiate who's the real issue, though. I mean, let's say you're a struggling mum. You have 3 children, and you're working 3 jobs to support them. But your manager, in fact, the owner of the business that you work for, that you clean for, is, I don't know, a millionaire. So she has a heart for them, and it's not the issue. It's not the next door neighbor, the Jewish person next door, that's the issue. It's the millionaire that's not paying his workers fairly and treating them like humans. But only when you're educated to see that, you know, because there's also like a fog behind it. The less you try to reach for the actual problem, the less you the less you try to look for the roots. You know, you're struggling, you writhe in the roots until you try to find who's the actual problem, and the less you seek of that because you've been indoctrinated and you've been taught not to, then if you do search actually, then you see the roots and you see the problem is the millionaire, not just the Jewish person next door, but who the manager is saying that's the problem. And so I think communism comes to the heart, but for the reason I just mentioned, also mind.
Do you think uneducation and ignorance are the biggest obstacles to...
Definitely, 100%. 100%.
And I'll add something else to that. Do you think religion's another obstacle?
That's a good question.
Because Marx himself said that religion is the opiate of the people. I mean, I think you'd have to look at that in context as well. I don't think that's just a statement.
Yeah, not the same, yeah.
Yeah, he's obviously... I mean, I'm going to give Marx the benefit of the doubt here. He probably just didn't mean to say... You know, I think a lot of anti-communists will say, oh, Marx is against religion here. What do you think of that then?
So, 2 things. People misinterpret what Marx was saying there. He wasn't criticising the act of having faith in a particular God. He was criticising the actions of the church. He had learned, he was very learned, he was very intelligent.
He was a student of Hegel, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And he knew what the church had done. I mean, look at indulgences, for instance. He could see what the church was trying to do, and also what the church had done. You know, had so much authority of people that it almost became the new ruling class. You know, historically.
And yeah, this is also a problem that Luther had.
Yeah, but exactly the problem that Luther had that led to the Protestant movement. So I just want to clarify that one before I go to my next point. Of Napoleon was famous for saying, "Religion is the best for keeping people silent. It stops the poor from killing the rich." I really think that's true. I think religion, especially Christianity, teaches to be docile. It teaches you, to turn the other cheek, right? It teaches you that, you know, given to Caesar what is Caesar's, given to God what is God. That can be interpreted in the sense that, you know, your body is not God's really. Your soul belongs to God. You could argue, and so let the capturer do what he wants with that. Let the destructive power do what he wants with that. And also a famous biblical quote is, "The last shall be first, and the first shall be last." And that keeps people at the bottom because they're going to be first in the next life.
I think that's also, for me as a Christian, I think that's a matter of humility as well.
Yeah.
I think the idea that, you know, Christianity is seen as this sort of kumbaya religion, I think that's a misinterpretation. God's the judge at the end of the day. Jesus said, "I'm here to bring a sword" as well. I think
vengeance is mine. Yeah, exactly as well. I was going to literally bring that.
And I think this notion that, you know, that Christianity is this. I think I'm not going to criticize the peaceful movements within Christianity. I think they were necessary as well. But I think Martin Luther, King, I think he was good. But I also think that we should also strive to challenge as Christians as well.
So I think you agree with Martin Luther King's... sorry for cutting off there. I just really wanted to get this point. Get your point here. You think that Martin Luther King's approach was necessary?
I think... So I've got two things. I agree with both Malcolm X's and Martin Luther King's approach. Yeah. I don't think that... I think if you're trying to get to a goal, for me personally, I would do anything to get to that goal. I think Malcolm X had the right approach. I think Martin Luther King's approach was much more, in a way, it just looked good from the outset. It's almost as if, look at Martin Luther King, that's what he did. Gandhi, it's the same. It just looked aesthetically pleasing. It's peaceful protesting. I think, and that's the concept that people have Christianity, it's aesthetic. Christianity is not aesthetic, in my opinion. You have to work hard. You're going to be conflict. There's going to be a lot of conflicts. Jesus said you need to love your enemies. You will have enemies in the first place.
Who's not going to then also love you back?
Exactly.
In the same kind of way.
Jesus never said don't have enemies. He told you to love your enemies. You will have people who you conflict with. I think the entire notion that, you know, Christianity is this docile religion, I think if you look at it from the outset, if you look at the liberal Christians, you can see that. But you've also got, I think you have to factor in the Orthodox Christians. A lot of these Christians are strong in their faith. And I think, you know, you look at the Middle East where Christians are constantly fighting amongst persecution. They're willing to die for their faith. And I think that's where a lot of my strength comes from. But I do think I can see Marx's point. I do see Marx's point quite a bit here, And I think that's something that I've had to grow and I had to adapt, you know, seeing religion as this necessity for the afterlife. But then I also look at it and I also see, you know, you have to keep an open mind. When I see the church doing indulgences, you know, that was something that shocked me at first. I was like, no way the church has done that. But then that's something that I've had to come to terms with. That's what the church did at one point, And that kind of leads me to a question I was going to ask you. So, Lenin, he proposed atheism, Marxism as atheism. Lenin's one of your top guys, isn't he?
Definitely so.
What do you think of that then? So Marx said religions, obviously you expanded on Marx's understanding there. What about Lenin? So what about Lenin as well has sort of influenced you?
It's interesting. It's an interesting one. Non-secular communism predates secular communism. Primitive communism has been around, which had aspects of faith, aspects of religion in it, incorporated in. as well as based off Acts 2 verse 4, something. They talk about like how they had no possessions, and based off that, like groups of Protestants, adopted this communist like lifestyle. Now, I think whenever religion has been imposed or has kind of existed, as an organized institution, it's always ended up becoming the new ruling class, with a non-ruling class, something that has such a large influence over people's life will become the new. I mean, it doesn't take much in sort of education to kind of just see that it will rise up.
And this is like the entire point with a theocracy, isn't it?
Oh, theocracy.
And it's something that, I heavily disagree with myself.
Definitely.
I think it's something that it's rather an excuse for the elite.
Definitely.
To pulverize, and I think that's the word. I think that's the right word.
100%.
Pulverize the working class. Theocracies. I mean, look what Afghanistan's doing right now.
New class of slaves. Definitely. I disagree with theocracy. I mean, for that reason, but for the reason also is that, I believe that right-wing revolution as well as religious revolution stems from the root that is ignorance. Typically, usually from an elitist class that usually drive it and then become the new ruling class. But it stems out of ignorance. And when you're too ignorant to understand the revolution, it could be detrimental. Because you can't criticize the revolution, essentially. Because also then it almost become this blackmail kind of thing. You can't criticize religion because you can't criticize the theocratical movement, because otherwise you'd be blasphemous. I also believe theocracies that are Christian don't the existence of Christian revolution is contradictory to the entire Bible.
I think that too as well, and this is a point that I have as a Catholic, right? And so the Catholic, obviously, we have very strict moral laws. Abortion. Let's talk about that. So, I think the number one notion within the Catholic Church is we want to make abortions illegal, right? I strongly disagree with that.
Really?
Strongly disagree with that.
That's interesting.
The abortion Act 1967 came to legalise abortion. Why? Because there was backstreet abortions going on. Women's lives are in danger. People are dying. And we want to get rid of that. That's why I believe that theocracies and any bit of morality should not be in law whatsoever.
Really?
I think things like murder is wrong, for example. Laws like murder is wrong. There is that morality to it. I'm not going to say it's, there is no morality. I think morality and validity are different. I think a law like, for example, murder is wrong. Don't commit murder. It's morally good, but I think that's separate to the validity of law.
Definitely.
I think that's a valid law. And when I mean validity, I think I take a legal positivist stance whereby the validity of law comes through the process which it was created by. So by Parliament, and then we can also talk about how Parliament may not be the best sort of government right now, which is why we probably want to switch it up. Obviously you want to have a communist sort of outlook, especially within the government.
Definitely.
And I think that sort of drive and that sort of idea is much better than this theocratic, moralistic sort of political space. And I think, in the least offensive way, it's rather barbaric.
Definitely.
Very barbaric and very uncivilized, very primordial to have religion within the affairs of the state. And I'll strongly disagree with anyone who says that adultery is wrong in the Bible, therefore adultery should be illegalized within the country. Strongly disagree with that. Strongly disagree. I think, for me personally, that's the main point. The state should have its own affairs. It should not mingle with religion whatsoever. I believe that religion is a private space.
Definitely.
I think what a lot of people confuse about this atheist movement of Marxism is that this is something that tries to abolish religion in its entirety. It's not. It's not whatsoever. people would probably talk about Stalin. Stalin tried to ban religion.
Yeah.
And that's another point of contention. So,
Definitely.
what do you think about that with Stalin? Then?
Regarding Stalin,
Mm-hmm.
he was an awful guy. Let me just preface with that. He
Yeah.
was a terrible person.
Mhm.
I holistically disagree with his ideology. I holistically disagree with his methods. I holistically disagree with his, wanted outcomes.
Yeah.
He sought to create a new ruling class
Mm-hmm.
through the cloak
Mm-hmm.
of communism.
Yeah.
He killed Trotsky,
Mm-hmm.
and he scared the people and ended up becoming an enemy of the people.
Mm-hmm.
Completely disagree with that. I mean, in the last few minutes that we have, I want to talk to you actually about something, which is quite interesting. So earlier today, I said I disagree with democracy as we see it, and I said that I advocate for a new democracy, which is actually the term new democracy has actually been coined by Mao, in China. I also want to preface again that I don't agree with all Mao's at all here.
We don't support the Cultural Revolution.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't worry.
However, he proposed this way of revolution that was essentially a continuous revolution. Not mirroring the continuous revolution that we see in fascism, but a continuous revolution in terms of if we see a new ruling class coming back up, then we destroy them. That's democracy for me.
Yeah.
Democracy for me is always for the people. It is always rooted in facts. It is always rooted in statistics. It is always rooted in logic. It's not ever rooted in ignorance, which is why I'm such an advocacy for communism, because it's always rooted. I mean, Che Guevara is famous for saying the first duty of a revolutionary is to be educated. Now, it's not the same with fascism. It's not the same with religious revolution. But so every time a new ruling class tries to rise, then you have a next revolution. People, not necessarily advocating for a cultural revolution, not really. Well, for a social one, I'm advocating for, not political revolution. Sorry, maybe an economic one. I probably should have done this at the start, but my stance, my position, I'm assuming, is the Maoist Trotskyist, meaning I want an international revolution because it would be really hard to function on its own if it's just a nationwide revolution. But I do also disagree with nations in general. I holistically and entirely advocate for a central government of the entire globe, and the constant revolution.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Anyways, probably should wrap it up there.